everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day today. I know it's very soon for me to be back with another video, but I actually had somebody DM me somewhat of an emergency DM. They had recently bought a Hasselblad camera and it came and they couldn't find a good YouTube video to help them load film in the camera. So she reached out to me to see if I could help, if I could do a video showing her how to do that. And I absolutely can. I'm absolutely happy to do that. So I am going to show you how to load film on this camera. And I'm also going to break down some of the components of this camera. So to start with, there are essentially 4 elements to this camera, and this is the Hasselblad 500 cm. It's got an 80mm lens on it, and the 4 components are: you have your lens, you have this chamber, which is the body, you have your film back, which is this whole component right here, and you have this viewfinder up here. So when you're actually taking a photo, in order to take the photo, you pop this open. There's this like little button and you basically pop this to the right and this opens up. You can see kind of, it's like a curtain. And this is what you see. So right now the camera is pointed at this chair of mine, this pink chair that I love and got at Target. So that is what the camera is seeing, and that is what, you know, if there was film in here and if I were to release the shutter, that is what the photo would be. So just adjust this a little bit so you have it better, you can see the whole thing. Okay, so in order to put this back down, you basically kind of fold it just like this and like this and like this, and it pops into place. So that's the viewfinder. There is something called a prism viewfinder that you can also purchase. The camera, basically when you're looking at something through the camera, everything is flipped. The prism viewfinder makes it right again. I personally don't have a prism viewfinder. I never got one, and I've just gotten used to seeing things flipped when I'm taking photos. All right, so in order to load film, you're gonna wanna pop the film back off the camera. And in order to do that, there is this other bigger button right here, and you do the same thing. You basically slide it to the right, and it just unhooks. It unhooks from these pieces down here and these pieces here. You can see that it basically all fits together. In order to put the body back on, you hold the button, you slide it to the right again, and you just do like that, and it pops back into place. So let me just pop it off. All right, so let's work with this part of the camera for now, because this is what we're gonna be working with to load film. So this is your film back. This is the whole thing. This is your counter. This is when you're on you've taken your last shot. This is what you use to rewind the film. This is a little spot where you can, if you want, you could take like the film, basically make a notation of the film type, the film speed. I have never used that, but that's what that is. And then this guy right here, in order to actually load the film, you're gonna wanna pop this up like that, and then twist, and this whole thing pops out. And this is where you're gonna actually load the film. Now, in order to load film, you're gonna need an empty film spool. This is basically from the last roll of film that was in here. This is the film spool from that roll of film. So what you're gonna do first is you're just gonna take this out of here. So that's, you pop that up. See these two pieces up here, and you pop this guy out. And you can see that, you know, this guy has an opening right here. And that's important to note because we are gonna stick the end of the new roll of film into that slot. And of course, I'm gonna show you how to do that. So this guy was over here. We popped him out and we're gonna move him right over here. You can see that these notches, you know, it's like basically pops into place. It's kind of like a puzzle. So we have a roll of film, and I actually bought some film last week, and it came, which is always a great day, and especially during a pandemic. And we're gonna load this film. Now this says to load in subdued light, which, you know, to be honest, I don't, and I've never had any problems. But if you want to load it in subdued light, then there's no harm in doing that. We are going to load the film. I just want to show you this. The film still has the seal on it. And what we're going to do, I'm going to wait a minute before I actually unravel it, is we want to load the film just like this. We want to load it so that when we break the seal, we are taking this and basically pulling it around this way and tucking it into this slot right here. One time I made the mistake of loading it like this. And what I did was I took this and I just wound it around this way and popped it in. The reason that was bad is because when you're taking the photo, this is where your film is lying. So you want the actual emulsion side to be exposed, not the paper side. And when you load it this way, the light is hitting the paper side, not the emulsion. So you're just gonna end up with basically a dud roll. So just like this is how we do this. So now I'm gonna break the seal. And the other thing before I do that, we're just gonna, so you see here, it kind of, you know, this guy kind of pops up and pops down. It's kind of a subtle thing, but we're gonna leave it kind of popped up like this because we're gonna, essentially the film is gonna just kind of slide in underneath here. And when it's all in place, we're just gonna close it down, and that'll help keep the film in place. So for right now, we're gonna pop that up. Okay, so let's break this open. Just kind of get this off. I would recommend, honestly, I never do it that way. I always just take it off here like this. You do this. This is popped open, and you want to be very careful with this because this is your film, and you obviously don't want to like accidentally expose the roll by like dropping it or something of that nature. So what we're gonna do, as you can see here, this is how we're doing this. We're pulling this through here. It's sliding under this notch. You come around this way, you take this tongue and you slip it in here. And it's a little bit tricky, but just get this in here. You kind of get the hang of it, and then, you know, after you've done it a couple times, I'm gonna do this, and you kind of start to wind it. Now, the thing is you're like, how much do I wind it? Well, you come back over here to this side. Just do it this way. You keep winding, and this arrow appears to let you know you've wound far enough You don't want to wind anymore because then you will start exposing your film. Right now it's just the paper, but you want this arrow to match up with this little red triangle right here. So we're good. Now we're gonna close this. We're all good to go. We're gonna take our container, the container for the film back, and you just pop this in here, and you pop this in here like that, and you close it. Okay, but so right now, this is where the paper is, and we're just at the paper portion. If you remember, like when we got to that arrow, that was the signal to tell us to stop winding, because if we keep winding, we're going to start getting the film and we're going to start exposing the film and ruining it. So we are still like in this section right here. If I were to pull this out, like it's just the paper, and we want the actual film, we don't want to be exposing paper. That's not useful to us. We want to be exposing film. So in order to get to the film portion, you're gonna come back here, and you can see this is a counter. So you're just going to start winding this. Wind it for a bit, and then you can't wind it, and you'll get to a point where you can't wind it anymore, and then you can just pop it back in place. And there we go. We're at our first shot. And now we can pop this guy back in here. So that's how you load film. Now,